Hey guys. So it's 5 o'clock on Monday. So I'm going to do the Ask Me Monday. Um, so I just want to talk a little bit about self talk because self talk is a big thing. Um, and your self talk basically creates your identity. So a lot of people believe that they're a certain thing um, because of your identity, right? Like your identity is who you are. And your identity, sorry, develops. I feel like I should wait a minute instead of jumping right in. But your identity is developed when you're very young. It starts when you're young. So even like I have kids, like the talk we do to our kids matters because what we say to our children does help them develop their identity. Like if you say, you're bad, you're being bad, like you don't listen, that teaches your child to think that they don't listen, they just don't know how to listen. And it starts to become part of their identity. So, anyway, that's how your identity starts to develop, which is important to understand, especially like as a parent, because we need to be careful what we tell ourselves, but we need to be very careful what we tell our children. But as for yourself, so like your own identity started to develop when you were a child. So, for example, when I was younger, I did pretty good in school, but whenever we had a test, um, I didn't score that well on tests. So I always told myself I'm a bad test taker. And that's not necessarily true. Because if we took a test on a subject I was interested in, then I'm not a bad test taker. I But it took me years to realize that I was telling myself a story based on one or two incidences from when I was younger that, oh, I test bad on, oh, I'm just a bad test taker. And I used to say that to people all the time. Oh, I don't test good. I'm a bad test taker. But some of that self-talk isn't true. Um, because I actually had to teach myself, like, for example, um, I studied biology and chemistry and stuff when I was in high school, like middle school, high school, and I was very interested in that. So it made it easier for me to memorize. But I couldn't just memorize things. Like, you have to figure out your own little way and your own little tricks to do it. So, like, when I needed to memorize things, I would put it to a song. So if any like harmony of a song, because I realized that when I heard a song on the radio, whether I liked the song or not, after I heard it like 5 times, I knew all the words. Now that was my weird special skill. So then I said, all right, well, if I memorize all the words to a song, as soon as I hear it, what if I study all these complicated words and I put everything into a song? And it actually is how I studied biology, like in high school, and I got A's in biology because not because I was smarter than anybody else, but because I figured out a trick to how I could tell myself a different like story. Like, oh, I can't memorize things. Oh, I'm a bad test taker. Well, I wasn't a bad test taker. I just needed to learn how to teach myself a different way. So anyway, so your identity and your self-talk does really truly matter. And it takes people years to get out of that kind of stuff. Like things from first, second, third grade, when you start going to school, you think like, oh, I can't sit still. Well, if you always tell yourself you can't sit still, then you can't sit still. And it's not that you can't sit still, but you have to change your thoughts around you being a person that can't sit still. You have to tell yourself something different. So, anyway, it's a long process. It's actually can be a very quick process, but it takes people a lot of years to figure that out. Um, and I also tell people I don't remember names. Like as you're telling me your name, I ask it. I don't remember names. Again, not true. Because if I listen and I pay attention to it, I can remember people's names. It's just that it's easier to say, "Duh, I don't remember names." Right? So that could be a story you tell yourself also. Um, but anyway, um, you are essentially whatever you tell yourself you are. So when you talk to yourself, like if you look in the mirror and you say, I am blank, that statement, your brain is going to do whatever it can to be true to that statement. So be careful when you look in the mirror what you tell yourself, because your brain hears what you tell yourself. Like if you're excited to do something, your brain gets excited and gives you energy and makes you want to do something, like going to the gym. If you are not excited to go to the gym and you say, oh, I got to go to the gym. So you're going to be tired when you get there, like, oh. But if you say to yourself, and you don't even have to necessarily believe it in the immediate, just start telling yourself, like, I'm going to feel great when I go to the gym. Like, I'm going to feel great. Your brain is going to respond to what you're telling yourself. Your brain is going to respond to that energy. So, anyway, just a couple little tricks and tips. And you know, it it takes a little bit to do like the sorry, my hair's all wet. I just got out of the shower. It involves a little bit of self healing as well as self talk, because there are things that you've been telling yourself for a decade or two. Um, and like in my business, I feel like I'm pretty much the only woman most of the time on the job. Um, so when you're around a group of people, especially a group of people who are not exactly like you, like it's easy to tell yourself like a lot of negative self talks, like, oh, I can't pick that up. Like I'm not strong enough to do that. I can't use the hell dog. Like I can't lift this thing. But why tell yourself that? Because if you decide that you can do it, then you can do it. Pretty much anything you decide you can do and you tell yourself you can do, you can do. So, you know, keep that in mind. It's very important to remember that whenever you're talking to yourself, whenever you're looking in the mirror. I am are two of the most important words that you say to yourself. And what follows those two words defines your personality. Okay, take care. I'll see you next Monday or during the week, but have a good week and happy Monday.